everyone.
Happy Diet Coke stop.
Happy top 10 day, baby.
Oh my God.
It is beautiful. It's 84 degrees and sunny and just amazing.
Yeah.
So, three things today. The first one's real quick. We're going to take you to the scene of the crime. You know exactly what I'm talking about. This is Sports Clips, where I just left 10 pounds of hair. I get my hair cut all the time there, and like they have my little notes about number 4 guard on the side, and they just trim it up with a thing. And then she kept going, and I mean, you were very kind to be like, "Oh, it looks good."
I think you're very handsome, always and forever.
Well, I know, but I should have just gone
I really like it.
Okay, well, if you like it, then I'm
No,
okay.
it's just here's the thing. What's interesting is I've never seen you with hair that short.
Yeah, true.
Like, from when we
That
were
is true.
When we were dating.
Yeah.
I mean, you had a head full of hair.
Yeah, I did.
You've always had
Yeah,
a
I got
fantastic head of hair. So
I have a lot of hair. I don't know if it's fantastic. Go straight.
Can we go straight? Oh yes.
So a couple things. We're gonna.
I do not like this at all.
We're going to take you to get Chinese food.
Yes, Chinese food day, baby.
But I had some conversation. What?
We should get some fortune cookies and open
True.
them on this, but we'll do that next time.
Yeah, but we didn't.
We don't have time.
We've had some conversations with clients and with viewers, and we're sort of realizing that the value of these Sunday drives, it's not to see my haircut. It's not, but it's not really to show you the area. It's to let you know what life would be like if you moved here. That's, I think, the value people get out of it. So, a lot of people like Chinese food. I do not enjoy Chinese food.
A lot of people don't like the dentist. I like the dentist. There's a dentist office right there.
I like Planet Smoothie. I go there a lot.
Like
PF Changs to go right there.
PF Changs to go.
So that's our first. We're going to take you to 3 different Chinese places of varying degrees of what I think people would think is real Chinese food.
Yeah. I like that. PF Changs.
There it is. PF Changs. We're here in Hamlin.
At Hamlin, there's French Cafe.
But we're also going to talk about, in addition to the massacre that happened on top of my head and the Chinese food.
Sorry.
Mamie's going to cough a lot. And then we're also going to talk about the new real estate settlement that's happening. And we talked a little bit about this on Coffee Time. But I wanted to talk about it because, and maybe viewers can help us and maybe you can help me. I have a question for you.
You can't be helped.
It's true. Do you think that people give a crap about this? It's very hard in the social media age. Social media feeds you things you're interested in, right?
Yes.
We're interested in real estate for obvious reasons. So, for me, I don't have any idea if our good friends here have any care or concern about what the hell this all means.
Well, here's the thing. I think yes. I think the general public probably doesn't care. But for our viewers, chances are you're watching us because you're interested in this area, moving here, in which case real estate does matter to you.
And haircuts.
And by the way, the reason I'm coughing is because right before we started this tour, I had one of my favorite cookies, the Calypso Crunch cookie from Publix. But it has nuts and coconut in it, and I love both. But I feel like I got coconut right now.
Also, I don't know how well you can see like the back windshield of this car, but it's yellow, crusty yellow.
It's just so much.
It's a top 10 day, but it is pollen.
Really is beautiful.
We're going to take you to 3 different Chinese places. We already took you to 1, so 2 more to go.
2 more to go, so yes. And by the way, I've had PF Changs before. I won't give you my winner unless you really want to know.
No, but sure, why not?
But I like Chinese food. As a kid growing up, we always got chicken chow mein from this Chinese restaurant that was like 25 minutes away.
Yes.
And so that was what I thought of Chinese food. That was what I assumed Chinese food was that it was chicken chow mein.
Okay.
I did not realize there was all of these other dishes.
Right.
And then if you say chicken chow mein now, people look at you like, what, chow mein? Not lo mein? And I'm like, yeah. But they also don't make the same crunchy noodles that they had when I was a kid. Like they had the skinny little noodly ones, and now they're like thick, crunchy, wafery ones.
Anyway, so that's where you can go to get Chinese food in Hamlin. There are probably other places.
There are lots of places.
Know about.
Yes. Changs. All right.
So
moving on.
So there's new rules coming starting in July, and I'm gonna give 2 bullet points and then have you react to them, and then I think we have a metaphor that I think is so good. Number 1, and we'll filter this and tell us in the comments too. Like, do you think one of the things that's freaking me out about this? There's only one thing that's freaking me out, which is how much other people are freaking out. Like, I'm not freaked out. I'm like, okay, just a slight rule change, no big deal. Other people seem to like, it's the end of the world as we know it. And I'm like, I don't get it. I think there's some challenges, but not so much for us. I think for buyers there's going to be some challenges. Anyway, let me give you the two main bullet points.
You got it. Go.
Right now, well, you tell me. Right now, how does a buyer agent, so there's a listing agent and a buyer agent on most transactions.
Yes.
The listing agent obviously gets paid a commission when they sell the house by the seller. Yes. In most transactions right now, how does the buyer agent get paid?
So if I'm the listing agent...
And this is now.
Now.
Yeah. So
if I'm the listing agent and I'm representing the sellers, the listing agreement is going to provide me a commission of a specified specified amount, and I then divide that proportionately, however we deem necessary, between myself and that buyer's agent.
Right.
So ultimately, the seller is paying for all realtor commissions, specifically the listing agent's commission that I then, split essentially with the buyer's agent.
Right. And the seller has a say in that. They get to say, like we always say, well, this is the commission, and then we recommend that you do this, but it's always been up to them, right? So one of the things that I think is lots of news articles and things like the end of the 6% commission. That's been over. Been over.
And
that hasn't happened in the longest time.
But I also think it's important to note that they're making a national ruling or determination when different MLSs have different rules and regulations. So, for instance, where we live, there is not a mandated commission of 6%. Yes, have there been commissions where it was a 6% commission, the listing agent received 3% and the buyer agent received 3%? Absolutely.
Yep.
But those commissions have always changed depending on the market, depending on the price of the home, depending on the, just basically the competition that was out there, depending on whether or not it was a repeat client. In my case, I'm nice, to my repeat clients, you get a little bit of a discount in there because you came back to me. So I think that for us, that 6% is not as commonplace as it may be for these people that was just that was what it was.
For us, it's rare.
Yeah.
And now, so in the before times, and now until and it's July, but honestly for us, it'll probably be May or early June because of the rules we'll explain. You can't just start in July because we have ramp up with people. We're going to have to do this sooner so that people we're working with in July follow the new rules. Anyway.
And it's not just us. All realtors.
All realtors in America.
All realtors.
But so in the before times, let's say it was a 6% commission. It wasn't. But it was a 6% commission, and then 3% would go to the listing agent, and then 3% would go to the buyer agent. Okay? So I guess the objection, and I get it. I get the objection, is that the seller shouldn't be mandated to pay for the buyer agent's representation. Now, in most places, as far as I know, that wasn't mandated. But there were some MLSs where they did mandate that there must be a buyer agent fee in the listing. I think that's wrong, so I'm glad they're fixing that. Here's how they fixed it. 2 things. And there's a lot of things in there, but the 2 main ones are, we will no longer be able to put on the MLS, which stands for Multiple Listing Service.
You want me to go to our place or?
Yeah, go. Yeah.
Okay.
So we're coming to Tilden Road now. We're going to take a left. We're going toward. We're in Winter Garden now. We're out of Horizon West. We're in Winter Garden. We're going down Tilden Road. That way is Windermere. That way is Winter Garden.
Right behind us was Orchard Hills and Orchard Park, which we've done our Sunday drives through there before.
Yes.
We're just giving you a different route.
Yeah. So two rules. One, you may not put buyer agent commission or compensation on the MLS on a listing. So you can't say, so right now we can go on a listing and it says single agent 2.5%, meaning they're going to give 2.5% of the purchase price or whatever it is. Sometimes it's 1%, sometimes it's whatever.
2%.
Some agents who
are
not good partners, you know where I'm going.
Yes, these people really are. I don't like them.
They're like, it's 2.5% minus $5.95, which is the fee they have to pay their broker.
So they want the other agent to pay their broker's fee.
Right.
That's just wrong.
Well, but that's sort of part and parcel of they shouldn't have to pay the buyer's fee, right? But that's the seller paying it, whatever. Right. So right now we can look and see that. Now tell me why. Tell me what the concern is if and we've experienced it with other agents, not with us. But tell me what the concern is for sellers and for buyers, specifically for buyers, about if you can see the commission up front, what are they worried is going to happen?
If who can see it up front?
If the agent can see the commission up front, and there's 3 houses out there, and they really love all 3 of them.
That they're only going to go to the one that has the highest commission.
Correct.
But that's always been the case.
That's always been the case, and candidly, we'll tell you, it's not going to change in the future, really, except that.
But first of all, they shouldn't have, because ethically, that's against our code of ethics.
Right, correct.
But I do know of, and I have witnessed in person, realtors not showing their client a home because the commission was lower.
Right.
That is against our code of ethics.
And I will tell you that Amy's experience with this is generally she gets a house under contract and she goes to put it in the computer for our brokerage, and then he finds out what the commission is, because it's not something we consider.
I'm doing my due diligence. Yeah. I'm making sure that I'm showing homes that are going to work best for my clients.
Yeah.
Okay, real quick, let's pause that and let's go to Chinese and number 2.
Yes.
This is China Walk. This is where we have gone ever since we moved here to Florida. Are you getting ready to back up on me, sir? You are. Let me just make sure you don't hit me.
So, by the way, Fit 407 Modern Pilates. We've got a pottery painting thing coming here.
Mm-hmm. By the way, that's a really good dry cleaners. It's on the corner there.
Yes.
But here we are. China Walk is right here. It's a very small little shop.
And here's how I feel like I know it's authentic Chinese food. They were closed for a whole month last year because they all went to China.
They all went home, yeah.
yeah. That's Furtherbar's new.
Yeah.
So this used to be the Big Easy, which was a staple. We're crushed that it went out of business.
Yeah, I know, right? But you got this little Italian cuisine beside it. You've got the
Peruvian and Italian. Interesting,
Peruvian
right?
As well. Interesting.
Mail center here and a Publix.
Yeah. So this is
She's coming across.
Oh, I see her. Sorry. So this is, again, we've kind of gone through this intersection before, but I'm going to bypass the intersection just because it's kind of a little bit more traffic.
That's an intersection you want to bypass.
You want to bypass if you can.
Stony Brook West and Avalon Road. Ooh.
Yeah, it's just busy. So I'm going to take you this way, and then we're going to come out. We're going to take a right on Stony Brook Parkway, or Stony Brook West Parkway, and then we'll be passing Whispering Oak Elementary and the community of Stony Brook, which is a guard-gated community in 2 spaces.
With an active golf course now.
With an active golf course now. Whoop, whoop. Just in there the other day showing a beautiful 1-story home to some clients. But anyway, so
back to the thing. So now the rule is going to be you can't advertise the commission on the MLS. Now I'm going to give you the other rule, and we'll talk about how those 2 things blend.
Yes.
The second major change is that a buyer agent, a real estate agent, will not be able to do any work for you whatsoever.
Right.
Showing you homes, giving you advice, doing anything without a buyer-broker agreement.
So, point of order. The hour and 15-minute phone conversation I just had with a client without any documentation.
We got to work that out.
Because they were still, thankfully they chose me, and I'm thrilled about that, but they were kind of doing their due diligence and making sure that they were choosing the right agent because they were moving from out of state. How does that work? By the way, Stony Brook to our left, Whispering Oak Elementary to our right.
National Blue Ribbon School?
The sign's not there anymore. I wonder if that only allows for that year that they
1 year, I don't know.
But anyway.
At one point they won a National Blue
Ribbon. They're A-rated anyway.
Yes.
It's fine.
So, the answer to the question is, now this is inside for us. Every agent's going to have to work out how they do this.
Yeah.
What's going to happen with us is, what actually just happened today? At the end of the conversation, because they had said, we're going to talk to several realtors and whatever, at the end of the conversation, you said, so do you pick me?
Well, I said because, and by the way, I mean, candidly, most people that I'm speaking with have already chosen me because they know us through this. Mm-hmm. Shockingly, not everyone watches these videos, and shockingly, they're referred to me by somebody else, and so they don't come in knowing who we are, which is totally okay. I love that. It's like, no one knows who we are. That's fantastic. Yeah. But at the end of it, because we were to the point where I gave an hour and 15 minutes worth of nonstop information vomit from my mouth in a good way.
Yeah.
Vomit. Yeah. And I said, but I was going to get ready to set up a property search, and it clicked. It clicked in my mind. I was like, oh, I can't just make the assumption that I'm working for them.
Right.
So I said, so before I set up a property search, I know you were going to, you were trying to talk to a few different realtors, so have you made a decision yet, or are you still entertaining that? And again, by the end of it, we're good to go, and I'm going to do the property search, and onward we go with them coming in town. But it does create something for later.
Well, it does, but the truth is we should have always been doing that, because there have been times when you've given tons of information to people, and then they turn around and go, all right, I'm going to go buy a house without Amy, and I'll just attach my cousin to the thing. That's not cool, first of all. But we like to work on the idea that we're working in your best interest, and we have an agreement, and that's fine. We don't have, everything's good. And if every once in a while we kind of get screwed over, then that's the cost of your good heart. And it's a shame, but it has happened a few times, but not so much that it's a problem. But now that phone conversation will have to end with, so I'm going to send you a buyer-broker agreement, and it's going to say in there what the buyer will owe you when they finally contract on a house and close. However, the first important part, that does not mean the seller still can't pay.
Correct.
Amy Kidwell, #1 agent in this area that we're driving around right now. Will you still be, after July, recommending to your sellers that they offer a buyer agent commission?
Yes, and here's why.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So here's why. If you have any experience in new construction whatsoever, and this is something, I wasn't born knowing all of this stuff. It's been a lot of experience and a lot of great transactions with a lot of great people that has gotten me to the point where I have all this information. People think sometimes if they go to a new construction community and if they say, hey, I'm not working with a realtor, so I'm going to get a better price. That's not true. And if a builder ever tells you that, you should report them, because that is not right. It's not legal for them to do that. When you talk to the reputable builders, they will tell you flat out, no, if you don't have representation, it has no bearing on what your home is going to cost, because a realtor's commission comes from a marketing fund. The marketing fund is separate. So I use that to my clients. What they need to consider is that the realtor commissions really need to be in their mindset. We use that term mindset a lot. You need to think about a realtor's commission as your marketing fund. And I think if you do that, that is a lot more palatable than when you look at those big numbers sometimes, when you're buying or selling your home. As a marketing fund, it makes a lot more sense, because that's exactly what it is. Is that as the listing agent, I'm trying to market your home to get it sold, and I have means in which I do that, ways in which I do that. And then we need that other realtor that's out there. We need that buyer agent to bring her client to us. And part of that marketing needs to be that agent is also then compensated. So think of it as a marketing fund.
Think of this. In a world where to go see a house, you will have to have already signed a buyer agreement.
Correct.
So everyone working will either have an agent, or will be people that are trying to... Now, there will be agents that say, yeah, I'll be your agent of record for $500, right? And so you just pay me that at the end, and all I'm going to do for you is open the doors, right? Some people have been saying, well, I'll just go to a real estate attorney to look at the contracts. Okay, sure. But that agent, that attorney, if they knew like pricing and and neighborhoods and all that stuff, they'd be a realtor, not an attorney. And
it doesn't do you much good in the state of Florida where all of our contracts are standard anyway.
Correct.
So what are they going to change? They can't.
So in an environment where everyone's got representation if they're looking for homes, or is trying to, basically in Florida, you can call the listing agent yourself, and then that listing agent can choose to be a transaction broker. I think a lot of sellers are going to say, no, I'm not going to accept transaction brokers anymore. That's a story for another day.
Yeah.
Where Amy would represent both sides of the deal, which happens a lot, but it's a different setup when you've got a buyer agreement with someone else and whatever. So if you're thinking about marketing your home, right, to someone, and you're saying, well, a X percentage commission, what that is, as a marketing fund, what you're trying to do is increase demand, correct? What happens when there's more demand for a property?
You go get Chinese food.
Yes. Okay. Well, you can. So this is Panda Express. So some purists would say this is not even Chinese food.
I know, that's true. Panda Express,
Chinese kitchen.
So we are here at real quick, and we're going to get right back to your conversation because this is mega important. We are in, this is the Winter Garden Village area. So that's Panda Express. That's the last of our Chinese places. We're going to continue this topic because that's really what our Sunday drive is for. New Azteca. It's not Plaza Azteca.
Azteca de Oro.
Would you want me to head back 429?
I want you to go up Go down 535 and go back on Tilden. We'll show you the other side of Tilden.
Okay. And then go back down Tiny?
Yeah.
Okay.
Tiny Road is a road. It's the road, for those of you who've been with us a long time, it's the road where Amy cried the first time she came here because she was afraid to move to Florida. Anyway.
True story.
So I'm going to give you two metaphors, two parables, two metaphors, something, right?
Okay.
Amy, there's two houses.
Yes, sir.
They're both priced at $500,000, so we don't have to do as much math. Okay. They're let's say they're there. Two will have the house like have a link to the demand for this how to get by the other so we're going to 5,000 percent trick. So hey, they will buy doesn't about 2%. Let's say arguments they on the hey do that now. So next 5,000 5,000 say and then your agent stops. Get them to do nothing. Take our their pillows. Have them there's two. They get enough after school. Let me $2 agreement to okay. Tag on Walt department. So 5,000 buys 5 with it. So covered by the 5,000 person that the person that can buy the house that doesn't have the seller contribution is going to pay $500,000 for the house, and then they're going to have to pay $10,000 cash to their buyer agent. So where is the demand going to be? Everyone's going to be fighting to get this house, right? Nobody wants this house. So what does that tell you? That tells you that sellers will be offering that because it's a means to pay their house. Now, for what people put in their pocket, yeah, the seller there, if they can sell that house, is going to put $500,000 in their pocket. This seller's going to put $490,000 in their pocket, right? But what I'm telling you is this house may not sell. Or, let me go back, Amy. What has your experience been with people that don't have buyer representation? Do they tend to come in and offer full price?
No, not only do they not come in at full price, but we don't take them seriously.
Right.
As a listing agent, if they're not coming in pre-approved with realtor representation,
right,
he's just some Joe Schmo off the street, and that's
in my experience
liability there a little bit.
And in my experience, it's been this buyer that didn't have representation at all on this $500,000 house would offer $425,000,
right? Because they
or
think
$450,000,
right.
And then they'll say, "Oh, yeah, but they're going to offer $490,000 because that's a better way to say it. They're going to offer $490,000 because they're going to say to the seller, but you don't have to pay a commission, so give it to me for $490,000."
Right.
So it's going to be hard for these houses. It's going to be hard for that house to be sold at $500,000 because the demand is going to be lower. Supply and demand. If there's equal supply but higher demand for one, the other one is worth more money. That's the way it's called the real estate market.
It really is a shame because I think at the heart of the conversation that initiated this lawsuit to begin with, I think is valid and understandable. I think the solution or resolution to this is absolutely going to make things far more difficult. It is going to put buyers at a complete disadvantage because you're either going to not be able to have representation, which means you're not. I'll tell you right now, as a listing agent, I want whoever that buyer is to have a licensed realtor represent them so that I know that they are protected to reduce some of that liability.
Right.
With all of the disclosures and things like that need to be signed. And it's not fair to ask a listing agent to do the work of a buyer agent if someone comes into an open house without representation. Right. Do all of the paperwork, submit the offer, do all of that work without compensation. Right. And so there's a whole lot of...
So tell me this.
Yeah.
So if somebody comes in without representation and you're the listing agent, who does all the work on their side? It's going to have to be the listing agent, right? But here's the problem.
That's what I just said.
No, I'm saying, but to be clear, when you said the liability...
But I can't do that because I don't have a buyer agreement.
So some of that's going to have to get worked out. But
exactly.
And it may be that Florida just goes to there's no such thing as a transaction broker anymore. There has to be an agent on both sides. Because, so let's say you get a buyer that's not represented. You become a transaction broker. Down the road they go, I feel like that agent didn't disclose something, okay? Wouldn't be true with you. We disclose. But people can sue for anything, right? So you get sued. Now you've got a liability problem because they feel, but it's their own fault. They didn't have representation. You've always just represented the seller. So
in this new format,
yes.
Because I just for clarification, I'm going to back it up. Many times up to this point,
yes.
I have had a listing and I have had a buyer that was looking for a home that was just like what I listed,
yep.
and that my buyer ended up buying my my listing
yes.
with full transparency, and it actually worked to benefit both parties.
Right.
I was the one that, to make it work, takes a reduction in commission,
yeah, so
because that's the ethical thing to do in my mind.
And you're about the only one that I know that does.
I know everyone else is like, ooh, double, and I'm like, no, if I can make this work, I'll make this work. But that was the role of a transaction broker up to this point. Now back to your.
I literally, in the amount of commission you reduced, by the way, this might hurt your heart. I don't know if it's going to or not.
Don't tell me.
Okay, it's more than $100,000 you reduced commissions by over time. It's probably way more than that. Actually, I never did the real math.
It's
So anyway, but it's the right thing to do. So let me give you one more metaphor that's not nearly as jumbled. Okay.
By the way, back on Tiny Road.
Yeah, so we
Orchard
made a loop.
Hills, Orchard Park. We just make it loop-de-loop.
We made a left where we came out before and made a left. Right. So right there at Tilden.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm very proud of my metaphor. I'm going to give you my metaphor and I want you to react to it.
Okay.
So one of the reasons why there's so much anxiety, I think, is because buyer agents haven't had to prove their value, right? I don't have any issue proving the value of working with you. It's easy. If anyone, just call, put me on the phone. I'll tell you 50 different ways that
to leave your lover.
No.
Sorry.
You have those filed away.
You always have a song that pops in.
Yes.
That popped in. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Go ahead. 50 ways.
There must be
No.
at least 5 ways to lose 10,000 is what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
There's a lot of ways you can lose money if you don't have the right agent. And that's always been the way I've talked about your job as a buyer agent. And that's what made me think. What I like about breaking this apart and having a seller representation and buyer representation and have people understand the difference is because it's 2 different tools. It's 2 different things. And so here's my metaphor. You tell me what you think.
Okay.
A listing agent is a sword. A buyer's agent is a shield. Okay?
Okay.
I sort of love this. Some like high-powered, high-paying coach is going to steal that and be out teaching people.
You heard it here on
you heard
Time.
it here first.
No.
So put the timestamp on it.
Right.
Tell me what you think about that.
No, I like that.
It makes sense, right?
Many different ways. Yeah, I think the listing agent, by the way, not an aggressive want to hurt you way with a sword.
No, yeah.
But like in an moving outward form.
They're on offense.
Exactly. And then you've got the buyer agent using the shield as protection, as defense to make sure that they're protecting their client, which is the buyer. And yeah, I like that.
So
that works
for
well.
example, marketing a home is very offensive, not offensive. Hopefully it's not offensive. There are some agents where it's offensive. But you're attacking the market, right? You're not attacking people. You're attacking the market, saying, we have this offering, this is the price.
It's shiny.
Yeah. Exactly. But you're putting out the right photographs. You're putting the right listing descriptions. You're doing videos on things. You're doing all these things that are attacking the marketplace. Outwardly.
Offensively. Yes, correct.
Defensively, so I mentioned I could give you 5 ways to lose 10,000. So let me give you 5 ways to lose $10,000. You can help me if I can't think of them around that.
All right.
I'm going to give you the biggest one first.
Okay.
Buying the wrong house.
Oh, yeah. Well,
okay, that's
easy.
more than $10,000. How many times are we listing homes for people where they're like, yeah, we bought this, but we didn't really know the area, we didn't know whatever, and it's not our client, because our client, we're not going to let you buy a house if you don't know the area. Right. And yes, sometimes our clients have bought a house and they've been like, I think we want to move to this part of town, whatever. Mm-hmm. But the sad stories of people that are like, I'm underwater in this house already because I overpaid for it, and now I just don't like it here, and I want to move to that side of town. Can you help me sell my house?
Yeah.
And we try. I mean, and we do.
Yeah. Well, what about like Sweet Tom in downtown Winter Garden, right?
Yeah.
Remember?
Yep.
Got here, bought it virtually.
Right.
Didn't really know what it looked like.
But
anyway.
If you save $10,000 buying the wrong house, because you didn't pay an agent to help you find the right house.
Right.
You lost more than $10,000.
Right. Okay. That's one way.
How many times have you, in a new construction situation, known that a particular builder had what's called a back pocket? Like they have a little bit of extra they could give maybe on the price. They might put other options and things, and sometimes they can't, and sometimes they can, right?
Right.
But how many times have you gotten more for your clients than somebody would have gotten coming off the street?
Well, lots of times.
Right.
And sometimes that is a value of you got washer dryer, you got refrigerator, you got blinds, you got garage door opener, you got this, you got that.
But to my point about the shield, if you walked in without that, you lost $10,000 because you had to go out and buy blinds and buy a washer dryer and buy those other things.
And by the way, don't think you can take this information and just go ask the builder for that.
Right.
Because
they're not going to.
It's not, the builders work in, they want, well, I don't want to get into that part of it, but point is, yes, to your point, there are many times where we are able to ask the right questions at the right time, knowing when the builder's fiscal year is up and when there might be more negotiation on a quick move-in that's completed or whatever the case is. So yes, $10,000 easy for that. Yes.
Overpaying for the house.
Well, that's
you can lose more than $10,000.
Yeah.
We just had a client close in their house
$25,000.
It was $25,000, and Amy wrote the offer at the correct price, and you'd had a discussion with her. But when you sent her the offer to sign, she's like, "Why is the price $25,000 under the thing?" And Amy said, "Because that's what it's worth." And I'll talk to the agent, and we're going to get that price. And did you get that price?
We did.
You did.
We did.
So as a shield. Yep. She would have, with a different agent, she might have bought that house
or with no agent
and paid $25,000 more.
Right.
And some people will be patting themselves in the back, going, "I saved commissions, by not having an agent." And first of all, by the way, and they also paid a commission too. So, and in the future they would too. So, so there's three. Let's think.
Well, inspection issues.
Beautiful.
Not knowing what is to be expected in the nature of an as-is contract, and what is acceptable to request, what is a deal breaker, what is not, and how that can be remedied.
Yep.
For sure. That's definitely an easy one.
And so that's 4, and so to give you 5, and I know I could do more because I got 3 others in my head, but we've been yapping for 36 minutes.
Wow.
You put down an earnest money deposit, okay? We have had clients that we have advised not to contract on a house before because their personal situation was such, you don't want to put that money at risk. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
You have to understand that when you put a $10,000 or more earnest money deposit down on something,
it's a risk.
It's a risk. Once you get past your inspection period, okay. This is the same thing, but this is another agent that made a mistake. And it worked out because we're honest. But if we weren't, it wouldn't be. Let's say in a recent listing we had a 7-day inspection period, and you came to me and you said, "I've been reaching out to this agent. They had the inspection, but they haven't called to say we're good or we're not."
It was my listing.
Right.
My listing.
So they had put a $10,000 earnest money deposit down. If they had come back the next day and said, "Yeah, actually, it looks like the air conditioning system is a problem, and this is a problem, so we need to replace those," we would have said, "No, you had an inspection period at this time.
Right, you're out of your safety period."
So either when they moved into the house, they would have had to do those repairs and replacements themselves, or they could cancel the contract, but the seller would have kept the $10,000.
Right.
So there's 5.
Right.
Boom. Right there.
And there are more. But I think the point of it is that, and I don't like to say it in the terms of like the legalities of like having legal representation.
Right.
Because I don't equate us with attorneys in any way, shape, or form. But if you think about going into something that is that important, that you have someone representing each side of the transaction for their client.
Yep.
Right? And I think that is really important. And I don't think that is going to change. I don't think it should change.
No.
I think everybody, a buyer and a seller, should absolutely have someone there representing them, being their advocate, and working in their best interest. I also believe that both of those people deserve compensation for that.
Yes.
And, I don't think anyone really argues with that, I guess. It's just a matter of who is going to be paying that.
Well,
but I think it has become it's far more intricate, I think. And by the way, we don't know what's going to happen and how this is going to work.
Later.
This is going to change, but there's just a lot of talk, a lot of hype, a lot of misinformation. Maybe some of the things that we said is going to someone else will mention it and maybe they'll have a solution to that. I don't know. But the point is, and unless we are told otherwise, it has always been in our real estate world with my listings, a conversation with my seller about negotiating what that commission structure is going to be. And I always say, I would rather have the buyer agent make a bigger commission than me as the listing agent because we need that buyer's agent to bring that buyer. Therefore, back to where we were, I consider that a marketing expense.
Absolutely.
Ta-da! We're done.
We're done. Can I say one more thing?
Fine.
If I can think of what it was, because I had a good point. I think one of the things that will happen, and it's another way you could waste $10,000.
Okay.
So it's a bonus one. One of the things I think is fantastic about this. There are 21,000 real estate agents in Orlando.
There's more than that.
It's 26 now or something like that. Yeah. 26,000 agents in Orlando. There's at least 2,000 good ones. But
there's
some fantastic agents. There are. But there's a lot of people that just got their real estate license, they never even had a transaction, never did anything. Those tend to be the buyer agents, right? It's easier to be a buyer agent with no experience than it is to convince someone to list their house with you with no experience. So I think this is going to really, really, really make it better for buyers. Yes, there's going to have to be an agreement up front, but people are not going to hire somebody that can't show that value, right?
Well, I think that's the key word, is they need to be able to show that value.
And that's why we're not panicked, because we can show the value. It's not a big deal. So bonus number 2, and then I promise I'll shut up. The other thing that's going to happen is look what happened to Zillow's stock when this deal came through. And the reason is, we've told you before, choose your agent, don't let your agent choose you. The Zillow model is to let the buyer agent choose you. You get a feeding frenzy of people going, oh, here's an interested buyer, let me call him. Now when those phone calls happen, they're going to have to say, would you be willing to sign on with me, this person that called you randomly out of the blue because you pushed a button? Would you be willing to guarantee that you'll pay me X $1,000 up front once the thing is closed if I can't get the seller to pay it? Who's going to do that? Nobody, right? So on Homes.com, it's the listing agent that you can reach out to. It's a better solution, better thing. Right. So I think Zillow's business model is in trouble. That's all I'd say about that.
It'll probably change, but...
How long have we been yakking? 41 minutes?
Wow. Too long. We need to go.
Bye.
We're tired of us. All right, anyway.
I'm tired of it.
This was a good conversation, and I'm sure there's going to be more about this later as things continue to develop. But the point is, if you are actively looking to buy or sell real estate, whether it's in Florida or your little tiny neck of the woods or your big neck of the woods, it is going to change this summer. And we all need to be aware of that. And we all need to remember that it's really just about restructuring, in my opinion, restructuring how this plays out. Yep. But, we want to work in everybody's best interest at all times, essentially. So.
One bonus of the long video is it gave people 42 minutes to get used to my haircut.
That's good.
So now it's ensconced.
Do you feel better now?
Yeah, I do. I feel a little better.
No, I was talking with them.
Oh.
All right, guys. As always, thanks for joining us. Please stay safe, stay well. Remember, we love you. Happy house hunting.